The chapter starts with a narration from Bloodia. She states that most monsters born in the abyss lacked any semblance of intelligence. They were nothing more than primal beasts, driven by hunger, instinct, and destruction. They roamed, ate, slept, and ravaged without a thought beyond their base needs. But among them, there existed mutants, those rare aberrations, born with heightened powers and a flicker of consciousness. They were the chosen ones, destined to rise above the chaos, to command and dominate. Like humans and their hierarchical rankings, these mutants had their own levels, a system of tiers that determined their strength and influence. Those with certain thresholds were fated to clash, to prove their dominance in relentless battles. The abyss was a brutal arena of survival of the fittest, where only the strongest endured. I was always the one who survived, constantly fighting, killing, and climbing higher. Over and over, I toppled the so-called leaders, the rivals who stood in my way. Eventually, my territory became uncontested. No one dared challenge me anymore, until I met him, the apex predator of the abyss, one of those who called himself an archduke. That it was an overwhelming defeat, a blow so severe that it shattered all my previous victories. That day, I realized there were beings far beyond my level, beings that stood atop the hierarchy I thought I had mastered. Igman then told Bloodia, and so you finally understood that there was an insurmountable gap between us. Yet, he still attacked. The maximum strength a monster could attain was decided at birth. You have met your limit. There was only one way to surpass it, to receive powers from those stronger than you. Would you serve me? Bloodia then continued her narration. Humiliation washed over me. It was a bitter taste, one I'd never known before. Yet, despite the shame, I recognized the truth. The powers I gained from that moment of humiliation were simply extraordinary. They were worth the cost. If I concealed my true intentions while serving him, if I continued to grow in silence, I could someday become an archduke myself. The scene then shifted back to Tayion, where the battle was going on. Bloodia was thinking to herself, but then why? Why, with such a grand dream, did I lose to a mere human, a servant of the weakest archduke, no less? Tayion then looked at Bloodia, his voice cold and commanding. It seemed I had won. You talked about survival of the fittest. But now, you are my prey. He paused, steadying his breath. I don't fancy eating monsters. You barged into my territory, talking about planting your flag or whatever nonsense. I couldn't let you leave either. You serve Igman. No point in talking further. Summon your boss. Bloodia's eyes blazed with defiance. No, I am Bloodia. I am not a servant. I am a monster destined to rise to the top of the abyss. Tayon's hand moved instinctively. He activated predation, and inwardly, he thought, I could devour her this way. I suppose. Meanwhile, the vampire who had been beaten earlier spoke up. Watching the scene unfold, that was the contractor of our queen. Tayon's mind processed the words as he observed them. Once SS plus ranks gave me great difficulty, but now, those memories seem distant. Just by synthesizing a fragment of God, I can now handle SSS ranks with ease. He examined his status window. Status window name, Kim Taeyunage, 20 rank, SS strength, 306 stamina, 308 speed, 307 mana, and Patrados Lima Pula Lima charisma, 230 fatigue, 70% remaining, mana, 225, 445th unique skill predation, S. He can predetermine and predate a designated target. Mana cost, 120 regular skills. Complete hypnosis, SS, completely hypnotizes the designated target. Mana 100 blood, Rampage SS enhances physical capabilities. Mana 150, high-level monsters. Eyes SS analyzes his opponent. 9,000 system messages adjusting the mana cost of regular skill. Blood Rampage SS, adjusting the mana cost of summon. Skill Igman SS, adjusting the mana cost of regular skill. Blood Rampage SS, adjusting the mana cost of summon skill. IGM Un.S. Tayion stared at his stats. Pondering the term adjusting, he thought to himself, adjusting, is this because my predation rank increased? Or because Bloodia was a servant of Igman? Either way, if I keep using predation, I can take on the missing archdukes as well. While lost in thought, exploring his growing powers, the queen's voices suddenly called out to him, and then, the imposing presence of Igman, the vampire lord himself, materialized, his figure emerging from the shadows with a commanding aura. He spoke, voice deep and measured. So it was too much for I didn't expect much from her, but at least she succeeded in bringing you out. Tayion responded smoothly. How odd. I was searching for you as well. This makes my life easier. Igman's lips curled into a sly smile. Yes, let's celebrate this reunion. Key of the king. The scene then shifts dramatically, but we find ourselves in the office of the South Korean Player Association's president. Night has fallen, and he is preparing to leave. As he gathers his belongings, he picks up a framed photograph, gazing at it with nostalgia. We were all so young back then, he murmurs, a hint of wistfulness in his voice. Reminiscing on the past. I must be getting old. Suddenly, his assistant bursts into the office hurriedly. "Sir, you're still here." The president, surprised, responds, "I was about to leave. Is something wrong?" The assistant hurriedly explains. "The Player Association, the Nightwalker Combined Investigation Team just called. There's movement at the presumed location of the Malignant Guild. They're waiting for orders from the association." Hearing this, the president's expression darkens with urgency. He immediately heads for the door, issuing orders. "Call the nationally ranked players immediately." The assistant nods but hesitates. "But player Kim Tayion isn't back yet. We can't contact anyone in the abyss. Are we going to be all right on our own?" The president's face hardens. He snaps back. "Since when does the new South Korea Player Association rely so heavily on just one man, Kim Tayion?" The assistant lowers his head in apology. As the president prepares to leave, he pauses and says, "Maybe it's better this way, that we handle this ourselves." Kim Tayion said he had business to attend to. There's a path only he can walk. I want to support that man properly as he walks down his righteous road. We must do what we must and keep fighting. With that, he steps out into the night. This was it for this chapter. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment. It boosts by videos. Even commenting an emoji would do. Thanks.